Wars is a customizable strategy card game of dueling mages. Two rivals trained in different schools and philosophies of magic have come to the arena to determine whose magic will reign supreme. And the winner will be the last mage standing. Armed only with your spell book, you must outwit and outmaneuver your foe while protecting your own mage from destruction. Prepare to enter the arena. Carmen, are you ready?
Oh, wait just a minute.
What are you doing?
Oh, I just thought magic seems to work so well for my mage in the arena that maybe I could use it for a few things around here.
Hey, you think there's a spell in there to cut my hair?
Yeah, I think I can do that. Haircut of Mancius! Handsomest menace!
Ooh, kind of like this.
Fixus Harris!
Did you just turn my head into a turkey? There's an awful lot going on in this game, but thank goodness this company produced a very well written and highly descriptive rulebook to go along with it. Not only are you going to be able to read through this and have a great understanding on how to play the game, but in the back of the rulebook there's also an index that helps you with all the keywords of the game. It gives you the keyword and a great description of what they mean.
As I'm playing Mage Wars, I noticed that it really makes a big difference when I equip my mage with certain items. Like if he needs armor or something to attack with at a critical point in the game. And in fact, right now, I think I could use tips on that because my feet are really, really cold. Warmus Twitzius. Ha, much better.
But you're not in this fight alone. You can use mana points to summon creatures to your side to aid you in your combats. And they range from four-legged furry creatures all the way to angels that soar in the heavens. Now, the balance of this is that you don't want to get too many low-level or low-cost mana creatures because they'll be easily defeated and they don't really deliver enough of a blow or a punch. So how much you're willing to spend in your spell book really determines how well you're going to do overall in the game.
Hey, how's your skill with summoning creatures coming along? Well, Easter's tomorrow, and we were really hoping for a couple of real bunnies.
Bunnies, huh? I think I can do that. Hopiosolatus!
A piggy!
Guinea pig. Close enough.
I find that my game goes much better if I make sure I control my opponent by really stacking up the curses on him. And I thought maybe if I do more than just control his cards, I made a little voodoo doll 10. But I really don't think it works.
Oh!
Oh my god, are you okay?
I don't know what happened. I was on the toilet and I just flew off of it all of a sudden.
Oh no!
And the game's not just about walking around and beating on your opponent. Well, it is, don't get me wrong, but this is Mage Wars, so it's got to be about spells and casting spells. And we've got a variety of spells to cast, from incantations to enchantments to conjurations to attack spells. Attack spells are usually about just from a distance and I'm just going to rain down fire on you and take your life. Incantations are about boosting yourself or possibly decreasing the value of your opponent's creatures by their attack or possibly their movements. Conjurations are about helping yourself to be able to boost up your channeling to gain extra mana or to place walls in certain places so that your opponent can't just maneuver around. And then you have incantations, which revolve around healing or possibly draining the life of your opponent's creatures. All of these blend together, and it's a balance once again, just like the creatures, to be able to try to put these in your spellbook of what works well for your mage, or what are you going to surprise your opponent with.
We've shown you how you can make your creatures really powerful by increasing their defense, increasing their attack, increasing their armor. You can do all of this with your enchantment spells. But keep in mind, even when you do this, you are rolling dice. Your opponent is rolling dice. And sometimes it's just going to be a good roll. And sometimes it's just going to be a bad roll. And that adds a little bit of randomness to the game. You really can't plan everything out. Okay, Priestess, you better be ready for this. I got 8 dice. Oh yeah, take that.
Take what? You might want to look at that again.
I made sure I did this right. How come it's not working? You think you're so funny.
Not that again. One thing that can be a bit annoying about the game is that once you start stacking too many enchantments on one of the creatures, it can be kind of annoying moving that creature around from zone to zone. On top of that, some of the zones can get very crowded, and you got to try to move these cards around to try to fit all these creatures, by at the same time keeping all their enchantment cards underneath them invisible so that everybody can see exactly what's attached to which creature.
Okay, I'm just gonna move my warlock down there to attack. And excuse me, excuse me.
All right, so concluding thoughts, Carmen?
Well, first of all, I thought I would point out my favorite part of the game, and that is building the spellbook, customizing the spellbook. We've played games in the past where my favorite aspect was building the team, and that's a lot like this, only there's even more, there's more spells, and I'm constantly going in and tweaking so I can try to get the upper hand.
Yeah, and when you first start playing the game, they show you in the rule book, they tell you which cards to put in your spell book, they try to help you learn, and after you get a couple of those games under your belt, you're going to want to try to experience it yourself by getting your own spell book and using your own mage and whatnot. And at first, both you and I were like, wow, 120 spell points, because each mage is going to get 120 points. And we just didn't know how to fill up our spell book. We didn't think we'd even get to 120. After a few games, though, both of us are like, 120 is just not enough.
Yeah.
We need more.
You get more experience, and you want to add more and more to the spell book. And I gotta say, another aspect of the spell book that is just great, that really makes this game pop, is the fact that you always have access to all of your cards. I mean, that's really huge, because it's nothing like a deck builder, because you're actually customizing your deck, but you always have access to all those cards.
And just like another arena game, Tosh Kalar, the thing about this one is that with Tosh Kalar, you summon the creatures, they come in, they're just a one-shot, bam, they're off. You don't have to worry about them anymore. With this one, though, there's a lot of upkeep to keep track of, because you get so many creatures on the board, you get so many of these, you just get a lot of stuff all over the place, upgrades, equipment and stuff, that it can be, this is not a game you want to be distracted, and it can be a bit much trying to keep up with all the things that you're supposed to keep track of when you're going to make an attack, movement, whatever.
Right, sometimes there's a curse that makes you roll one less die, something like that, or, you get a hurt every time you use a spell, and sometimes those things drop out of your head after you've been playing the game for a while, so it's important to really keep track of all the cards each time you're about to do something.
And I think that's an important thing, and I want to re-emphasize that, is that take your time whenever you're going to do anything, and they got all the steps that are listed out of what you're supposed to do. Take your time, go through each one of the steps, because it will make a difference. You don't want to be rolling for an attack and say, oops, I forgot to roll, 1 or 2 extra attack dice. Well, you missed it. It's your own fault.
So just make sure you look at all those cards each time.
And it can take a while to play this game, and it's got quite a bit of a learning curve at the same time, too. That's one of the things that I think makes the rulebook so well designed, is that it's got that great glossary or index in the back, but at the same time you will be flipping through that rulebook a lot during your first few plays.
Right, that adds to the time of the game, is the fact that you are looking up rules during the play. And, I tend to have AP, so I think our games are probably just going to stay a little bit longer than the average.
We even thought about dropping our spell points and our health down a little bit to try to help with that. Just because of us. Okay, so concluding thoughts, you like the game?
I love the game. I mean, I think it is just fantastic, and it's so worth it. I had a couple of really frustrating games learning, but I gotta say, it's just so worth it. And I love that it's really designed for 2 players. I mean, you can play with 4, but the fact that it works so well for you and I just to play together is a very positive aspect.
I think it's a brilliant production. I think it's probably, and I want to say, games all around, this is one of the best games I have ever played, period. It's the customization along with the gameplay itself. There's really no fault or holes in this. that I can find. There's really no negatives. I mean, if the only negative I can find is that it takes a little bit long to play and it's got a learning curve, well, that tells you, I mean, the fact that we're sitting here and we're saying we like it, it tells you it was well worth the experience.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's not a game I recommend for newcomers, but it is certainly a game I recommend for experienced gamers. A fabulous production I can highly recommend. So anyways, we do have a live play where we're going to be battling it out in the arena. Carmen will be playing as the evil warlock, and I'll be the goody two-shoes priestess. And go check that out, and you'll see which one of us was able to survive the arena. And until then, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
No! Check out Griffin Gaming for new releases and pre-orders. Enter the promo code GreyElephant and receive 5% off of your order.